Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Hello, good afternoon, viewers. Happy Sunday. Welcome to your darling Christian talk show, Issues in Christendom. And we are live on Western Spring Television, channel 190 on Star Times. Every Sunday afternoon between 3 and 4 p.m., we are here live to raise issues around the Christian faith, ventilating different opinions for the sake of deepening our faith. And this afternoon, we are here again. I am Pastor Steve Akinwumi, your host. I want you to follow us through our social media handles, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Western Spring Television. You can also watch us live as you subscribe to our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television. This afternoon, we'd like to look at a topic, emotional and very important, because all through scriptures, even in the Old Testament, you see the Bible emphasizing on the need for us to care for widows. So this afternoon, we want to look at the issues around widowhood. And today I have with me in the studio a woman, a blessed woman, the person of Princess Olufunke Adenike Adeleke Ali. And by the grace of God, she's also a journalist, a child of God, and the widow of late Colonel A.A. Ali from Borno State, Maiduguri. Princess Adenike Adeleke, it's good to have you on the show today. Good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for having me.
It's awesome. We want to talk about issues around widowhood. You've been a regular listener to our program, Issues in Christendom, and today we are blessed to have you on the show. Widowhood. We all know that widowhood is the state where somebody loses his or her partner to death. Widowhood is different from divorce. It's different from separation. Though death also means separation, but then it's quite different. A widow and a divorcee, they both look alike, but they are different. So what do you have to say about widowhood? The feel and the impact of losing one's partner in the middle of marriage, especially when the marriage is still young.
Thank you, sir. Pastor Steve. Widowhood. The word widow, then the wood there, is not a palatable word. It's a saddening word. And when it comes, one has to take it the way it is. It's not an easy thing to be a widow. Even if you are hood, the loneliness is enough to send somebody to an early grave. So widowhood is not an easy thing, but by His grace, as the Bible has recorded it, that is the husband of the widow. So widowhood is not just a language or a word one can just make use of just anyhow. It takes the grace of God and the help of the Holy Spirit.
Not a palatable word to come to be in that state of widowhood, losing one's loved one life partner to death, and having had to live alone and bearing the burden of the family life.
Exactly.
What is meant for two people, one person has to face it. I mean, all round. And that one person is also heartbroken by reason of the loss of the partner. And you still have to rise up to the responsibilities and ensure that the children are well taken care of. You know, that kind of a thing.
Exactly.
So it's really a very difficult place to be.
It is.
Being a widow. And looking at our culture in Africa, it's easier for a widow. Do you think so? Compared with a widow.
In Africa.
Oh, it's the same.
Oh my God.
In Africa. I'm looking at it from the angle of patriarchy.
It's not easy.
Even for the man.
It's not.
Who is a widower.
Yes, sir. Come to look of it. You know, there are some men, it's difficult for them to go to the kitchen. Some men find it
kitchen life.
very difficult to wash their handkerchief, their napkin. So tell me.
How do they survive?
It's not easy. There's no how they can cope. There's no how they can manage the situation. I don't know about some men
you're very
that
right.
have
You're very right.
maybe side chick.
Because most men actually, the wives takes charge of their lives. Everything. What they eat, what they wear.
Exactly.
You know, and everything.
Time to go out.
Exactly.
Time to come in. It's getting late. Where are you, please?
Even there are most men. The success that we have is because there is a wife beside.
Exactly.
Stop wasting your resources. Can we build a house now?
Yes.
Can we save this up for the children's education? You know, a lot of men don't care. They just spend money anyhow. But because of the presence of a wise woman, is able to achieve, you know, and all that. So taking that woman out of that picture is really
taking half of the man. If truly the woman was a good wife, a mother, a role model for a mother, or you've taken half of that man. There are some men that survived it. Why some? You see them turn into something else, drunkard, humanizing, keeping late. But it all takes the grace of God. Depends.
Okay. So for you, Princess Adeleke.
Yes, sir.
What was marriage life for you before the loss of your husband?
Wow, fantastic. It was heaven on earth. Wow. Yes. Heaven on earth. My grandma, her blessed memory, Mama Folashade Akiola, she will tell you, that is my maternal.
Okay.
Because I bear Abidemi. My father was not in the country when my mom had me.
Okay.
Abidemi me. That congratulations to you. God has given you your father as your husband. And I used to make a prayer then. Anytime Daddy will say, ask for one thing from God after the family morning devotion.
Okay.
I'll say, God, I want a man like my daddy. Because my daddy was a caring man. So he fought. Imagine a man introducing sanitary towel to his girls. We are 6 girls. Wow. Including my, you know men now, when you have this little change, you go out there. And my father never denied the 2 children he had outside, Damilari and Fumilayo, but Damilari is late today. So Daddy will say, why is your room so unkept? No, you have to keep this room. So what about your pad? Do you still have pad? He taught me how to smash matches, how to brush, how to dress. So I always pray, I want a man like my father. Because I know and I understand and I saw it, how my mother used to talk to my dad. I tell you, say, Tunji, Tibatin sorrow, ma sọ pé kíní, bàbá mi kàwé ju bàbá ẹ lọ. You know, in that finding yourself in that kind of environment, because my mother, she's this Lagos woman.
Okay.
She's from Osho State.
Okay.
You know, they will say, Afojo Bubudara be. But my dad, Ibadan man, very quiet man, was also a military man.
Okay.
Retired before his demise. So my daddy would just smile. I said, God, if you can give me a man like my dad that will pamper me, nurture me as if a baby. And God did it. Husband is from the north, Borno, far north. Have you heard of Bio Kukawa before?
No.
In Borno State?
No.
Oh my God. People from that place. Buratai is from that place.
Okay. Okay, Buratai.
Yes.
Okay.
Bio. They are wonderful people. Generally, Hausa men, they are very caring, very loving. Compared to, I'm sorry, the Yoruba men. Yes.
Here's a challenge.
Yes. Hausa man, we buy you, like my mom told my husband then. This your wife is the father's favorite. So I used to look at my mom and say, what concerns you? You were not in Ibadan when I met him now. So don't worry.
You guys met in Ibadan?
Yes.
Wow.
We met in Ibadan. He knew me when I was a teenager.
Wow.
He was a captain then. We were living in Ikeja cantonment, officers' quarters. So it was when I went to UI, trying to run my master's there.
Okay.
So I followed one of my auntie to Dugbe. So I said, is this not Oga's daughter? Which Oga? I was so naughty that day. Of blessed memory, the Adava, Colonel Uzi, was the Adafa main accountant in the Nigerian army.
Okay.
He said, Tokumbo, now your husband be that too. So I said, Oga, what do you mean by that? When I saw him, the spirit in me told me, this is your husband. But I was like, you know, some women, what we will hit. At times we'll just, let me smell it, or let me just do some shakara. But I knew then. So he said, let me drop you in your house. I said, my auntie came with her car now. So which one is, let me drop you in your house. So from there, went through my auntie, went through some of my friends. You always see him in the shop calling me, buying me things. So I called my mom, because my mom speaks Hausa fluently.
Okay.
But my dad, little. But he understands Kanuri very well. My immediate younger sister was born in Borno.
Okay.
So when I told my mom, you know, when things like that comes, the mother will be the first person to.
Yeah.
Though my mom, she's not my friend. We are not padi. We are not friends. But I told her then, I tell her some things, but deep things, secret things, I tell my dad. So my mom said, outside, they're wonderful people. You see that my younger sister? In fact, the guy she was dating then, when we were in Borno, this blah, blah, blah. I said, okay. So I called the twin brother. He laughed and asked him to come. So that was how it started. He was a loving man, very loving, very caring, very quiet. People that knows him, intelligent, and quiet. Last year, was it not last year? I was with one of our judge, Federal High Court. So we were talking, and I said, wait, princess, are you not Kone Ali's wife? I said, yes. He said, your husband, is tough. I said, no, you don't know. He said, I know him. There was a time, a case between UI and Nigerian Army. So he was the counsel to Nigerian Army. He said, in fact, your husband finished me in the court of law. It was that day. He said, so Army gets brilliant lawyers. So very quiet at home, very loving, very quiet, very quiet, very loving, and he tolerated my naughtiness.
The marriage was good. In your language, heaven on earth.
Yeah.
It it's like an answer to prayer because you were praying for a
somebody
man
like my father,
your father.
Yeah.
And he came into that picture and played that role of both husband and father to you. Now, Princess, on the day of his demise, how did you, because you shared it a bit on the radio.
Black Saturday. It was
a Saturday.
Oh, it was a Black Saturday, August 24, 2014.
Was it sick or what?
How the Boko Haram stuff? I was deceived to come down to Kaduna.
Okay.
His first cousin, also his friend, General Garba, retired, you know. In fact, I was about calling him. His call came in first.
Okay.
So I said, I want to report to your brother. I said, I want to tell you something. Where are you? I said, I'm in Oshogo.
Okay.
Okay. He cannot pick your call. I said, what happened? He said, do you know 44 hospital? Where is 44? Kaduna. I said, oh. So what happened? You know, they brought him from Maiduguri. So he's in 44 hospital. He's sick. I said, hey, he's sick. Okay. So I ran home, told my son, he was the only one, the sisters, they were in school in Lagos. I said, Shemilori, this is what General Gaba told me. So I called my father. My father said, oh yeah, come down to Lagos. You can't go by road and you need to see me. Let me pray for you. Let me give you some money. From Lagos to Abuja. But when I got to Abuja, it was a different thing entirely. I said, no, now, you guys should call my husband out. You can't be telling me my husband is dead. In fact, I fainted like maybe 2-3 times. My brother-in-law, my son even testified to it. Because I calculated how we started. I flashed back. Abdul, you can't be dead. You have to wake up. And I forgot to tell you something.
Okay.
While we were in the radio studio there. Was it not 2 weeks after his burial? Because he was being buried at Nigeria Defense Academy burial ground. So I went there with a younger brother. We came back. There's no how I could catch my sleep. So I saw this man came to the room with common flag on him. So I saw the side view. Tried to raise up my head. It was a bit difficult for me, so I screamed. So the person was turning the fan. People listening, watching, that I told can testify to what I'm saying. He was turning the fan. I said, who is this person turning the fan? You know, I don't like cold hair. He said, it's me. Who are you? Called his name. I opened my eyes. I saw the side view. Could not see his face. I said, Abdul, oh, you are dead. And let me just turn the fan. I said, no, I don't need fan. You are a wicked man. So you pretend to be dead, you are not dead. He said, let me turn the fan. When the time comes, I'll change that fan. So I stood up to grab him. He disappeared. I wept, screamed. My mother-in-law ran to the room, his room in Kaduna. So Mama now came, and Mama, though she's not a Nigerian, but she cannot speak her.
You made your mother-in-law?
Yes, yes. So she was speaking Hausa, begging me, call somebody to come and talk to me. I said, Mama, I saw your son just left. He lied. He's not dead. Let's go to that place. Mama said, calm down. He came to me. I said, what did he tell you? Mama told me. So I wept. Mama now said, Princess, look at me. God gave me 8 children. 4 is left. And your husband is the breadwinner. So please, you don't need to kill yourself. You don't need to cry. Just. So I look at her and say, Mama, can you be telling me this? He said, okay. I said, okay, I want to go back to Abuja, to his house. Meanwhile, Mama has called the friends. There is his friend, Colonel Abubakar. He happens to be his childhood friend. Childhood friend. The father too was a colonel, retired as colonel, my father-in-law. So Mama talked to his friends that they should calm me down by the time I go to Abuja. So the friends saw me, saw my son, because I went with the boy alone then. So he said, the way you are, like, okay, I didn't make mention of it. When I go to Abuja,
Okay.
I saw a young lady, pretty Hausa girl from Adamawa. She was having a 4-month-old baby.
Okay.
You know, because of what happened, there's no I could be asking silly questions. But I know vividly that there's no how. My husband was an handsome man, very quiet, rich. When I saw the little baby, the third day, Mama now called me. This is your husband's son. And this lady said she's going to drop the boy for you to train. I said, no problem. But Mama, can you talk to her to train the boy? Once the boy is 1 year old, I'll come for him. So Mama said, okay. So the lady was so close to me. We had pictures together. She's a medical doctor today. She traveled to India for her medicine.
Okay.
So the boy is doing great today. So I asked her.
Did the boy live with you?
No.
Okay.
Stays with Mama, but she's with the grandmother now.
Okay.
When the mother traveled.
Okay.
So my husband was a loving man that every woman would love to be with. Very generous. There was a time a young girl in Ibadopuli was so rude to him. Immediately, my husband called the junior army to come and discipline her. I said, no. What happened? So he told me, said, he used to be my girlfriend. He's a man that will tell you, this is who I am. You know, imagine you having that kind of a person as an husband and you're now losing. It means a lot. It will be very difficult for you to go for another man. I'm now I'm with my people. I'm in my state.
Okay.
I'm not saying Yoruba men, all Yoruba men are the same, but out of 100.
Your experience.
Yes, let me say 10.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much, Princess Adeleke. The marriage is like heaven, was
On
like
earth.
heaven on earth.
Yeah.
And then on this Black Saturday, they broke the news to you that your husband was no more.
They didn't tell me it was no more. I was told to calm down.
And then you got there and then you saw that it was gone.
Abu Bakr.
It was gone. And then you entered a new phase. Can you describe that new phase?
A serious
the
one.
Impacts of your husband's demise, both on you and the children.
It was a great vacuum. It's only God that can fill that vacuum. Though when he died, my father was there. My immediate elder brother, my siblings, our families, and my good friend, far in America. I don't know, maybe she's watching me now, Remi Odunuga, with the parents. No, they are fantastic family. They are from Shagam. Daddy, when was it not maybe a few months after, because I could not comprehend it. So Remy happens to be my junior in secondary school, Maryland Comprehensive. So we were mates in school. We studied computer science together. So she later left for LASU, English. So she told the parents, the daddy asked her to bring me to the house in Oworoshoki. So mommy traveled back to US. So I was there. So at a time, I became part of the family. The Odunuga's family, they might be watching me now. I'm very grateful to the Odunuga's family, because if I fail to acknowledge their love, their care, then no, I'll be an ingrate person. So daddy said, no, my friends' children are in US, Tokumbo, because like I told you, that daddy was not around. So I BS Tokumbo, I beat them. So I decided to change that name. I told my father before his demise that, daddy, I ceased to be a Tokumbo. But people knows me. So the daddy now said, Tokumbo, you'll be living with us, so we were together like a family. My parents will come, they'll go. When my elder brother was having his wedding, when Remy was wedding, my parents came, my siblings. These are the people. And permit me to just run through these names. Pastor Inokadeja Adeboye was a wonderful father. Babo Ginyon, Oni of Ife, the past and the present Oni. Toyin Kolade, Yeyelu Alaji, you are my uncle, but I call you my father. Remi Sonny, because he's an Ibadan man. These are wonderful people that stood by me. Late Uncle Tuji, Isaka Deleke. Kabisi told him, I don't want this girl to die. They come to Oshun. I said, to do what? Don't worry. So he traveled to US, gave me a letter. Oh yeah, take it to Adeleke University. In fact, it's good to be good. And I remember what somebody was telling me, was it not last week or yesterday, said, Nike, you are reaping what your father has sown. Because there was a time I needed to pay my daughter's school fees. It was close to $1 million. I said, okay, what do I do? I called on SRG. He said, Nike, send me your account number. I called the immediate past Commissioner for Finance, Uncle Bola Oyebameji. They see me in the office tomorrow. Imagine me if I don't have these people around, sending a child to UK for a master's, first degree, Canada, private university. Then my son, my last born, he was in Dangote Northern Primary School. So after the common entrance, I called him. I said, Shimilori, you'll be going to Aregbe School. They call this secondary school, middle and senior secondary school, Aregbe School. He said, Mommy, go for PhD. Maybe I should stop going to school. My siblings attend private school. Tolu graduated from Doyin International, Chai, Ibukun Oluwa, Rainbow College. So you are telling me to go to Aregbe School to do what? I
Public
said,
school.
Please, for now, I promise you, after your middle school, SS1, SS2, you are going to private school. This guy ran away from the house. I have to call on Dr. Fashano, Fashano. So he said he will talk to him. I called on my elder brother, talked to some people. So when I got him, I took him to Dada Estate. I locked him up in the cell there. Yes. So people came around, preached to me, persuaded me. Then Prince Benson is another person I will forever be grateful to. The former chairman of Rolu, local government.
Okay.
I wasn't calling my in-laws. You know why? My mother-in-law, the last son, said, I'm taking over. So I look at him, I said, taking over for what? Said, I want to marry you. So I told Ejina Yakubu, who happens to be my husband's immediate younger brother. I said, don't mind him.
Is that the practice?
Yes.
In the culture?
Yes.
Okay.
So I said, no.
Okay.
I said, no. I am not going to marry you. One, I'm older than you.
Okay.
So it will not go well with me. So at last, I left Kaduna for Abuja. I was with my husband's friend. They all rally around me. In fact, they were fantastic people. I was even the person moving around the barracks in Abuja, pulling his the obituary, the poster. So there was a day one guy just at Mabila Barrack, Abuja, he said, Madam, what happened now? Why did you remove? I said, that is my husband. I don't want to see this. Anytime I'm entering Mami Market, I don't want to see this thing. The guy said, so you're Oga's wife. Oh, madam, sorry. So I just walked out.
In short, God positioned good people
Exactly.
around you as at the time you lost your husband. Okay? Yes. Okay, we need to go on a short break right now, Princess, and then when we return, we'll take it further. Our viewers, thank you so much for joining this conversation this afternoon. We have to go on a short break. Please stay tuned, and then we'll be back shortly. God bless you.
This iconic African presents the narrative of a man destined to exert an imperishable global influence in Western education. His was a story of a freeborn, captured and sold into slavery. He was born in Oshogun, a native Yoruba village near Iseyin in Okeogun axis of southwest Nigeria. Samuel Ajayi Crowther was the foundation student of Fora Bay College, Sierra Leone, the foremost university where the pioneer set of native Africans were educated. Samuel Ajayi Crowther's greatest contribution to humanity was his translation of the Holy Bible into the Yoruba language. The man who authored the Yoruba dictionary was also credited with the translation of English classic hymns into Yoruba and Ekwere languages. Samuel Ajayi Crowther's private residence in Badagry, incidentally the first story building in Nigeria, is an Akava museum dedicated to the memory of Africa's first bishop. Western Spring Television identifies Samuel Ajayi Crowther as a watershed character in history. Born 16th September 1923, named Harry Lee Kwan and known as Lee Kuan Yew, he was often addressed by his initials of LKY. Lee Kuan Yew was a barrister and the first Prime Minister of Singapore between 1959 and 1990. Educated at Raffles Institution from 1936 to 1940 and the Fitzwilliam House between 1947 and 1949, Lee Kuan Yew established a highly effective and anti-corrupt governance system that midwives the transformation of Singapore into a high net worth income economy within a generation. He never hid his exception to Western mode democratic ideal, which he believed had not assisted developing nations to attain good government. Before his death on 23 March 2015, the People's Action Party, which he founded, had used his political influence to establish the United World College of Southeast Asia to expand his economic ideas among countries that constitute the Asian Tiger. Western Spring Television identifies Lee Kuan Yew as a major character in history. Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela was an anti-apartheid activist who gave his all for the elimination of what has been described as the world's most vicious rule of the unjust and man's inhumanity against man. He was born July 18, 1918 in Mvezo, South Africa, educated and trained as a successful legal practitioner. He took up the gauntlet of a human activist against segregation by the minority white suprematists in South Africa. At the climax of his trial for treason, orchestrated by the minority South African government, the great crusader for democratic equality was prepared to pay the supreme sacrifice to establish majority rule in his native land. He told white jurists that if achieving freedom for his people was worth his life, he was prepared to die. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in Robben Island, described as the most notorious prison in the world. It was from this same prison that he came out as a free man to assume office as South Africa's first black president in 1994. Western Spring Television identifies Nelson Mandela as a watershed character in history.
Hello viewers, welcome back from that short break. This is Issues in Christendom on Western Spring Television channel 190. Today we've been looking at the topic widowhood, and it's been wonderful listening to the story and the testimony of Princess Olufunke Adenike Adeleke, the wife of late Colonel A.A. Ali. And it's beautiful listening to a story about how she journeyed through that phase of widowhood. Now God has been helping her. Today, by the grace of God, Princess Adenike Adeleke is a senior special assistant and personal assistant to the wife of our governor in Osun State here. Erelu Ngozi Adeleke. And God has helped. I'm going to ask Princess Adeleke this question.
Yes,
Those of us who are not military people, we are told that the wife of soldiers don't work.
you are right.
Now,
Yes.
for you, were you working when your husband was alive? Because I know that you are also a trained journalist. At what point did you start practicing as a journalist?
Initially, I was not working.
Okay.
I love that question because I was expecting you to ask.
Yes.
One is from the north. Hardly you see an
That's
Hausa
true.
woman
That's true.
that works.
That's true.
Secondly, an officer. Thirdly, I'm a pretty young woman. That an officer just, I have to marry this girl. I wasn't working. But by the time he traveled, it was a golden opportunity for me. So I just called my dad. Daddy said, go ahead and work. So I walked in to PCOS myself without application. There was no any sign or any notice or any
Just walked in.
publicity for recruitment. Yes. The first person I met was Brother Latif Okondeji, support desk,
Okay.
the director there. So he laughed. He said, who are you? I told him. He said, okay, let me take you upstairs. So I met another man. I've forgotten the name of that man, but I used to call him Baba Gugu. He called my sons Iya Gugu. There is one woman there, Auntie Ronke Fajemiroko. She's late. She's a caster, Yoruba caster. So he took me to Mr. Oyewole, who happens to be our director, News and Current Affairs in Ibadan. I was there. So the man said, you'll be our political reporter. Just like that. I got to. I was rolling on the floor. I laughed. So I called my dad. I said, Daddy,
Guess what?
Utirishe. He said, where? I said, BCS Ibadan. I said, how come? Who did you? It was so funny. Then, that was how I started. That was how I started, like play till date.
Wow. But so you started, the husband didn't have issue when he returned back.
No.
Okay. And then it was just flowed along. Okay.
Yes.
That's so beautiful. Okay. Now, when you lost after your husband's demise, how did you find your way to Osun State? Yeah.
Wow.
How did you also become the SSA and personal assistant to the wife of the governor in Osun State?
Thank you for that brilliant question. I was sitting in my living room in Ibadan. So my brother is my brother and my big friend, Uncle Dipo Fagunwa, Ishola. Nike, where are you? I said, I'm in Ibadan. Mishori said he wished to see you. I said, what? I said, I would love to work with him. Then he was contesting.
Okay.
He was agitating to go for gubernatorial.
Okay.
So I now said, but I have an uncle too now who always comes to Ibadan. That is late Isaka.
Okay.
Detunji Adeleke. I said, no. Okay, just think about it. So I said, okay. So I gave it a thought. Came down to Shogbo. I was not living in Shogbo. I left Ibadan for Shogbo. So we had an interview in his house in Paraki. Sorry, the Ganga in Ife, in Omishore's house.
Okay.
Uncle Dirodeyemi was there. Then this barrister was also a journalist, but a barrister today. Happens to be one of Omishore's media head there. Shegun Fadairo was there that day. Victor Oriola was also there. They said, I would love to use this lady. She will be one of our secret journalists. Then Uncle Tuji was still in the Gulf, still in PDP. So later, I don't know what happened. There was a crisis at ID Nest that night. I said, I have to leave Omishore. So I moved to the Gulf. Senator Isaka Adeleke. So, you know, he later left PDP for APC. I was doing my report, I was writing, I left Oshogo back to Ibadan. So later, Babu Major of Blessed Memory Nasa, Nike, came down. I was sleeping in an hotel. Sometimes I was sleeping in his house. I'll go back to Ibadan. So that was how I left Ibadan for Oshogo. It was a gradual thing. So one Sunday, I was talking to Mommy Aremo. She now said, have you seen Daddy? I said, no, after the service. So I ran upstairs. I met her. I said, Daddy, I wish to live in Oshogo, Osho State. I said, where in Osho? I said, Oshogo. I said, go. The Lord will go before you. He emptied the anointing hall on my head and my son. And one of my friend's son there, he thought the boy was also my son that day. He said, start packing your things and leave Ibadan for Oshogo. I said, Daddy, just like that. I said, yes. He said, the Lord is preparing the place for you. So along the line, the Gulf died almost 7 years ago. So I went back. Daddy was still alive. I said, where do I start from? And meanwhile, then, there was one morning before the Gulf's death. I went to see Yeyelua. So I met my daddy, my uncle, who happens to be his husband, that I called my daddy, Alaji Sonny, Aderemi Sonny. So he said, you have a good result, but there is no vacancy. Now I said, even if it is the high school, I'll manage. So Professor Alao, I called Professor Alao, he's also late. He said, meet me in the school tomorrow. So they left Idosho for the main campus. So I went there. He said, JJ wants you to be a detective person. You are not going to practice journalism here, but you help us to spy. These are the things we are hearing. But you'll be coming very early. You must meet the prayer, early morning prayer at the chapel. So I did that for some time. I said, I'm not ready to die. My son homework, at times we won't complete it. Come back late. So I went back to Lagos. I met, who was the person I met? Maybe I spoke with my mom. And I said, okay, she's going to call so person. No, my dad. So he called, what's the name of this man? I've forgotten his name. He said, come back to Osho. So I was flying Osho, Ibadan, Ibadan. So I got an appointment with Intercontinental. Meanwhile, I was managing with Sox magazine, the Sox. McDonald, Olariwaju McDonald. So Intercontinental magazine. He was in UK. He said, just be my Nigeria correspondent. We were doing that. So I went to Mrs. Folashade Shudi. I also came to meet Brafemi. Brafemi said, Princess, you won't know what's in myself.
You are a big woman.
He said, just wait. So I left. I was managing Intercontinental. I was a political reporter traveling. So my elder brother was in US. And I said, my daddy now said, Rochas is your elder brother's friend now. Oh yeah, take his contact, call him. So I did. So I traveled to Owerri.
Wow.
So I'm not just, this is not my first position of being a PA to a first lady.
Okay.
I've done that with Rocha's
wife. Rocha's wife.
So I was with Rocha's. Rocha's was misbehaving somehow. So I left him. This senator that contested for gubernatorial, Sam Daddy, Samuel Hayam. I've worked with him before in Owerri. So I'll say Owerri is my second no. I've worked with a lot of media houses.
Wow.
AIT, Folashade Oshodi. Say, Auntie Princess, Auntie Nick, I want you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
So not until Yeye Lua, my good mom, in which I hold to an high esteem, said, go and be walking and be praying. Pray that your brother emerge. So I was doing that. I was telling all the widows in Oroke Housing Estate, talking to some widows in my church. I go to Technica, or talk to some widows there, even if I don't have cash with me, I just tell them, don't worry, by the time Senator Demola emerged, everything, they will just look at me. I remember my friend that I makes my clothes.
Okay.
I do stone my clothes with her. I don't want to make mention of her name. She said, Princess, you should stop wasting your time. Demola cannot emerge. I said, who is that Demola you are even talking about? I said, is it not that Demola? They said, I said, hey, can you please bet it with me? I told this woman that day. If our people were there, it was a tug of war. I said, by the time this man emerged, you see me in high place. Hey, do you even know them? I said, hey, me, no problem. So she was the first person that called me to congratulate me.
Wow.
She said, Princess, congratulations. I said, who is this? I said, Mommy, Princess, I just called. So
God has really, God has favored you. He has helped you. One more question before we go on this show today. Were there pressures to remarry?
There was no pressure from my daddy or my mom.
Okay.
My mom was complaining.
How did you handle
all the money? No, at the time I was giving it back to her, hot.
Okay.
But my dad will say no. No. And daddy has a saying, has been my father's slogan to me, his language.
Okay, we need to go. Princess, it's been wonderful listening to your story today. God has been your help despite that phase of widowhood. It's an unpleasant place for anybody to be. God has helped you. Today you are standing, you are healthy, making progress in your career, and your children are also doing well. And then today you are also a grandmother.
Yes, I am.
A proud grandmother for that matter. And many more grandchildren are still on the way.
Amen.
God has really one word for widows out there before we go.
My advice and word to young widows, especially, be focused. Keep to your dream. Don't mess around. I'm not an arrogant person. People that knows me, I am not an arrogant person. I can use hair for anybody. But when it comes to men, I'm very arrogant. I have taste. I'm so very arrogant. I have that pride. I'll tell you, you are not up to my husband's driver. I used to say it. Yes, I used to say it. I say it very well. So be focused, be prayerful, have faith.
Hold forth the faith, and God is going
to scale. Then give your children good foundation, good upbringing.
Amen, amen. Thank you so much, Princess Adenike Olufunke Adeleke Alice. Nice having you today on the show.
Pleasure,
Thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing your story. I believe somebody out there has been encouraged, strengthened, and helped. So we pray for widows that the Lord will keep you, strengthen you, guide you, support you all through this season, and make you stand in Jesus' mighty name. Thank you for our viewers for being a part of this conversation today. Next week, Sunday, will be another time again when we come your way for another wonderful topic on the program, Issues in Christendom. I am yours, Pastor Steve Akinwumi. Bye for now.